everyone, it's GT time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones,
Star Wars,
Daniel Bloodworth,
Probably waiting a week.
in the super seat this week, Ben Moore,
I'm going tonight.
nothing but Star Wars.
and in the booth, special booth guest, Don Casanova.
Good morning, everybody.
When are you seeing Star Wars?
Unfortunately, I'm going to be seeing it Saturday morning, so I've got to wait a little bit. Then I'm going to be seeing it Sunday night, and then the following Saturday morning. So that's what I have lined up so far.
Smart. I like that. I only have
good-
one. I only have one ticket, like a sucker.
Ben, you're in the super seat.
Yeah.
We have a very important question for you,
Okay.
an open-ended question.
Oh boy.
We're giving you force powers,
Oh.
but you have to choose someone else on this planet who will also get force powers.
Okay.
Who do you choose?
Easy answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm only doing this for the hilarity of it, and no one else may think this is funny, but I think it is the most hysterical thing in the world. I would give Vince Vaughn force powers in a second.
Wait, why? Why Vince Vaughn? Why?
I think Vince Vaughn is hilarious and in all of the unintentional ways. Watching him stumble his way through True Detective Season 2 was a pleasure. It was so bad. And seeing that man, like, force jump or, like, push somebody down, it's the thoughts that, like, come up in my head. I don't know. I just can't get over it. I can't. Just Vince Vaughn with force powers. That's all I have to say.
But here's the thing, Ben, is you also have force powers.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever have to do battle with Vince Vaughn?
I don't know if I could bring myself to do battle with Vince Vaughn.
Then he's going to rule the world. He's going to defeat you and rule the world.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
No,
You
he's
would
not.
always sense him too. You'd always know where Vince Vaughn is.
I think Vince. I can feel him. No, I think Vince Vaughn would accidentally kill himself in like a week tops.
Sure. Yeah. It could happen. Like, overestimate his powers.
Yeah.
You're not invincible if you're a
we
Jedi.
still
Yeah,
haven't
right.
seen the movie yet, guys.
Right.
It could have happened already.
That Vince Vaughn is
That
in
could
there.
be one of the
gets
big
force
spoilers.
powers. Sure.
You're very decisive today, Ben. I like it.
Oh, good.
We need to get to our corrections. Begin corrections music, please. The entire budget of Psychonauts 2 is not $3.3 million. I'm aware of that, but I did not state that. $3.3 million is how much Broken Age got. At the time, it was called Broken Age. And so they said, that's what we're asking for from you. And that's why they came to that number. Yes, I know there's other factors and other investments, but that's how much they're asking for on Big. And I don't think they've got there yet, which is surprising to me. Anyway, I don't know how I let this happen. One of our corrections last week was for a mandatory update corrections. It's the one about Ian and that weird roller coaster. I let that get into GT time. I don't know how I crossed that up, but whatever, it got in. Neo was Koei Tecmo's first original IP. Oh, it was its first original IP for PS4, not the first original IP in 15 to 20 years, as I said. Also, Knights of Azure is another original IP coming from Koei Tecmo to PS4 in March. So, okay. And an open-ended question is one in which, unlike in multiple choice questions, possible answers are not suggested, and the respondent answers it in his or her own words. So this was absolutely an open-ended question against what Ian thought. Ian was wrong. And corrections music. Don, do you think you would ever correct me like that?
I don't know.
It's a complicated question.
Maybe not like, as directly as Ian would.
Okay. So honestly, Don, you're free to correct me at any times. Just like, don't give me incorrect corrections is all I ask.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So we have huge news to talk about this week. I'm so excited to talk about this news because it's still registering. This week, Hideo Kojima, his job at Konami ended. Later that day, in a huge announcement, Sony made this announcement. They're the ones who made the press release. They said, oh yeah, Hideo Kojima made a new production studio. It's called Kojima Productions, as the old one was named. And the first game that comes out of Kojima Productions will be console exclusive to the PlayStation 4. There was a video. Andrew House hosted it. It was Brandon, you watched this video.
Yeah,
It's in your
it's
house,
pretty crazy.
speaking in Japanese. He's talking to us directly.
That's pro, by the way.
Sorry.
That's pro.
Yeah.
Like,
like the-
because you know how much crap Kojima got a few years ago when he, had a hard
Smart
time with
guys.
English and all of that, and and
So-
like Andrew House is like, we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna speak in Japanese. I can do this.
Like a
You
boss.
you just speak in Japanese.
Yeah. And what I love, we should just talk about this video very quickly. What I love about it is it's just, and the name of the video is like big announcement about a huge video game.
It's like a
developer.
run-on sentence.
Yeah, but the word Kojima is not in there.
Yeah.
And you don't know coming into this video, at least, I don't know, they keep it a secret. And the reveal is Kojima's been sitting next to Andrew House on the same couch the whole time. It is so funny. And then
It is such a casual title, like and like you can, House did a really great job, and delivering the news. But we were joking because you can see like this smug Kyle smile on his face, like he's so excited about it.
Yeah.
It'd be great if the video was literally just called like, "Oh yeah." You're like, what? What does this mean?
It's a little bit like
mic
that.
drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kojima, is an asset that for some reason Konami dropped this year, and I think a lot of people wanted him. And it's crazy that on the day of his release, it just announces it later that day. Hey, I got a new gig. Don't worry about me. Ben, how are you feeling about this?
Makes me wonder if anyone else called him and he was like, "You're too late. Sorry." I can't."
He has admitted that other people have called him.
Yeah.
He's like, they were.
They're
Sony.
He said, yeah, exactly that. He said they're Sony. He said I've had a good partnership with Sony in the past, and
And House said that when he introduced him. He said someone that's that helped us build the PlayStation.
Yeah.
we were very grateful to him.
Ben, how do you feel, man?
Honestly, I feel inspired.
Inspired.
Yeah, I do. This like more than Shenmue, more than the 7 remake, more than Persona 5, more than any of that. I think this, like, to me, when I look back at 2015, this would be my favorite announcement.
Wow.
And I feel I like Kojima a lot, and this whole process has made me like him even more because a lot of almost anyone else in Kojima's situation, this is what they would have said. I'm finally done with Konami. I'm going to take some time off and sort of figure out what I want to do next, or I'm going to start a new studio and we're going to focus on smaller games for a while. No. Like, day after I am with Sony, here is our awesome new logo for our big new studio. We're gonna make games that are going to do new things. I will be making games until the day I die. Like, this man has like, whatever criticism you want to throw at him, fine. He has an energy to create that you can just see and feel because of this announcement and everything else, and I think that's inspiring.
Yeah, that is. It is. It feels good.
Yeah.
I want to, because this is the last episode of the year, I want to go back through this timeline of how weird this has been this year.
Yeah. I mean, I have some extra theories too, but yeah.
You have some
But
extra
I've been
theories?
bouncing theories back and forth all morning
Okay, so
about these timelines.
All right.
There's so much stuff we don't actually know.
when we get to the end of the timeline,
Yeah.
let's do your Bloodworth theories, because I'm actually very curious about these. So at the beginning of last year, things were good. We said, oh, Metal Gear Solid 5 is coming out this year. It's going to be huge. It's going to be perfect. Also, Silent Hills is happening. At the beginning of 2015, we had that to look forward to.
Yeah, TGS 14, man. That was a great trailer.
Yeah. Brandon, you all right, man?
No, that hit me real hard.
Yeah.
It's like I just got in the time machine with Doc and Marty and went back and stepped out. Like it was a good time.
Yeah. Then, almost out of nowhere, in April, it just super weird stuff was happening. We did several episodes about this. Kojima being fired, technically, taken off of the executive board at Konami. That's crazy.
In April, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. This is interesting. Yeah.
PT taken off of the PlayStation Store. You cannot re-download that. That is the only PlayStation game in history you can't re-download. That's crazy as well. Just like hard cut off, hard canceled. Throughout the year, we just hear more and more stories about Konami's treatment of Kojima and his team. Just horrible things. Like, you're locked in your room. You can't use emails. It's shocking that Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, but we saw how it did come out in September. It came out incomplete. Rushed out, despite how many years it took to develop, but we kind of understand why it took so long, knowing their conditions. And then in December, Kojima wasn't allowed to go to the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley announced it publicly. That was just 2 weeks ago. to receive any of the awards that Metal Gear Solid 5 was awarded. That's crazy. Gosh, and then this 2 weeks later announcing Kojima Productions. What a year.
I raise a question.
Okay.
When Keeley walked out on stage and made that announcement, did he know that he A, had the deal with Sony, and B, was going to keep his name and keep his production company? Do you think?
Good question.
Jeff Keighley
knows a lot, but
Right.
I don't even know.
Jeff Keighley has
Yeah.
2 phones. Okay, one of those phones
Had that information.
had that
on it.
information on it.
I think he knew. Which I think makes that moment even crazier. That
Yeah.
he was like, I could say nothing, and you would all be stoked in 2 weeks when you find out what he's doing. But I gotta say this.
He's mad.
I gotta just do one final. I'm busy to do the same thing Kojima did, just like one final fu to Konami.
Jeff Keighley's probably finished Shenmue 3. Like
You know, Shenmue 3's not finished. Don't be ridiculous.
Blood. What are your theories? What's going on here?
So yeah, especially now that we retrace this and it started in April, I'm thinking somewhere around March, when that fiscal year was ending, Kojima was probably talking about extending the deadline for Metal Gear or something like that. And,
Sure.
And maybe even possibly talking about it being pushed out of this year, and Konami basically put their foot down and said no, it has to be done no matter what. And then he basically said, well, I'm out of here. And then everything after that was like vindictive Konami that we've heard of, from all those rumors and reports. But I think at that point in April that Kojima said that he's leaving and he's taking his name with him. So
You think that happened way back then?
yeah. I think that when Konami decided that they're not gonna make like big AAA games like that that Kojima fell under that, and like he was not gonna play ball with whatever skimpy budgets or mobile games or whatever else they wanted him to try to start doing.
That's interesting. I wonder if Konami made their money back with Metal Gear Solid 5. Probably, right? I can't imagine. So it's hard for me to
By
imagine.
now, yeah, I don't know. They might still be still have some ways to go with their little microtransactions and stuff and the Christmas.
God. Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine that money coming in and they're being like disappointed by it. But yeah, I mean, we can't guess about what that is. I guess what's so strange about this announcement about Kojima Productions right now, that they're already going, that it already feels full, is just I was feeling bad for Kojima for all of this year. Now I feel happy for him. He's always wanted to make other games than Metal Gear Solid. He was trapped. He was forced into making them, and you can tell, you can smell when a game isn't made out of pure excitement. And I'm excited for him to be able to make his own games finally. And like I'm sad that it took this. I'm sad that it took him getting fired and in such a nasty fashion. But I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm excited that it has to be new, what he's working on. So it's one thing to go to like BlizzCon and they're like, hey, we're going to announce like a new series. And you're like, oh, is it going to be like Heroes of the Storm? Is it going to be like an offshoot? And you're going to take like a character from Diablo and just kind of do their own thing? Or are they going to do something new? I don't know. It could be one or the other. This has to be new.
Yeah.
This is not Zone of the Enders. This is not Silent Hill. This is not, Metal Gear.
I still have a little hope
this
that
is going to be a
some
totally brand
thread
new
of
thing.
Silent Hills can continue, even if it's not Silent Hills.
Sure.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Just make PT, don't call it PT.
Yeah.
Just go make a horror game with Del Toro.
I would be excited about this no matter what, but I think PT makes this especially surprising. There's no way you can look at PT after having played it and not say that is one of the most fascinating video game things you've experienced in years. And that was him. That was him getting off of his leash a little bit,
Yeah.
and being able to do something. And if he can recapture the spirit of that magic, like we are in for a ride. Like video games are better now that he is free. There's so much potential.
It is weird to think though that we might be 3 years away from seeing or playing whatever's coming out of this. That's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
On their website, they're looking for people experienced with Unreal 4, which is also exciting.
Yeah.
Because part of the problem with Phantom Pain taking so long was the development of the Fox engine. Mm-hmm. And so if they're just like, no, we're going to take something that's already a known quantity and work with it, I think that's for the best.
Me too. I'm so grateful for Unreal 4 this generation. You know, when it's like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was on Unreal 4, I'm like doing a dance.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, yes, it will get done. I think that's because of last generation. It's because of all, like, you know, what was it called? Crystal Engine? Whatever Final Fantasy 13 ran on? Just that engine alone made it, like, take so long to develop, you know?
It was everyone. I mean, you had Capcom doing their own thing, you had Square Enix doing their own. There was like this stubbornness, like this pride that was preventing them from using other engines.
But they were using other engines. They just weren't using them for their premier games.
Well,
Yeah.
and they were using those other engines poorly. I would argue that a lot of the Eastern games that did utilize Unreal 3 were not very well optimized.
What is the tower game?
Which tower game?
Oh.
The
Quantum something, right?
The ugly, ugly tower game. It all takes place in a tower that you're climbing, and it's like Gears of War.
It changed names, I think, too.
okay.
Quantum Theory?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I just, like, I thought of that immediately when you're talking about, like, not using it well.
Everything about that game is bad.
Yeah, I mean, Shadows of the Damned had all that Unreal texture pop-in problem.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, we're not seeing Unreal games, and we're not like, oh, these are ugly anymore. Like, Batman is probably one of the best looking games that came out this year.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm alone in
No,
that.
no,
No,
it's
no,
great.
it
looking.
is.
It's
Okay,
great looking
no,
game.
it's
Sorry.
fine. Just me. It's only me who liked that. God, no, that game's like a graphical masterpiece. The way we're zooming in and out of things, like, so intensely. Like, some things that happen in Batman I've never seen in video games before.
Yeah.
A lot of the bad
Editors
things about
know we don't have a best graphics category this year.
Right.
Yeah, well,
We
I
haven't
don't know.
discussed these things very much.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it now. Who's best graphics of the year?
Battlefront for me. There's
Ooh,
no-
dude. Yeah. Okay, I see that.
I haven't seen so much pop-in on the Xbox, at least.
Sure.
But-
There's resolutions in that game I've never
Yeah.
seen before in my life.
But I guess speaking of pop-in, there's a lot of pop-in in Witcher as well.
I'm a big fan of scope. It is something I use in reviews a lot. I like the fidelity of Witcher 3 for how big it is insane to me. Like,
And
just
you're playing on console, right?
and I'm playing on console and just standing in a field and watching everything blow and just the sunset. Like, that game is that is a feat. They worked some wizard magic into that thing. I don't know how they did it.
They didn't use Unreal.
Well, sure.
That's how they did it.
Are they using their own
really good.
their own engine?
Yeah.
Really? Cool.
I mean, they have an engine just for all that story branching stuff.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, they had to develop an engine that could make all of that work. Yeah.
Oh, that, like, keeps track of all of your choices and things? That's too crazy. So, yeah, obviously Unreal isn't... I'm sorry, I don't mean to communicate that Unreal is the end-all be-all, that everyone should just go and use it and their games will be better. It's just encouraging to see games get done faster because of Unreal, I think is what I meant to say. What do we hope for from Kojima Productions?
Something fresh.
What do you want in 2016 from Kojima Productions?
Nothing.
Yeah, we're not getting something next year from.
I don't want a trailer until at least 2017.
Yeah.
But I think that's exciting. You know, if he digs in and we don't hear from him for a while, like that's awesome. You know, just go do your thing.
That's
I think
100%
everybody wants
what
that for him.
I'm
Yeah.
with you. I want the same thing.
I'm going to say something that's going to make me a lot of enemies.
Uh-oh.
I always get really bummed out when people sort of have room to breathe and they just try to recapture something. Like, if Kojima makes another stealth game, that would be a bummer. If he makes something that was pretty much Zone of the Enders 3, as much as I want that game, as attached as I am to that series, you know, that would be a bummer. Seeing what he can do with things like PT and how he can just so thoroughly surprise us, just go all the way. Like, you have a blank check, cash it. You know what I mean? That's what excites me. And I don't think I would say that about other developers.
Because when that trailer happens, there's so much pressure on that trailer, on that debut trailer. Here's Kojima's new game. Oh man, that's what's so genius about PT, is that there was none of that pressure on it. It was, this is coming from this studio that no one's ever heard of before. It's a little indie game you can download now. And so none of those expectations were placed on it.
It rewrote the rules.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't do things the way any other video game did them.
Yeah.
And do you think that pressure is on his new game to do that
Absolutely,
again?
yeah. And so I almost hope that Kojima Productions, like, they create a little shell studio, indie studio, and come out the same way. Like
He did Ground Zeroes. How boss would it be if he basically did the same thing with PT, where he was like, "Hey, I'm here to announce my new game. It's right now we're maybe saying next year, or the year after that. We still have a long way to go, but we made this little part of the game. You can download it right now. Go check it out." And
I'd be
just
cool
like, I haven't even seen a trailer for this game, and I can play it right now. Like that'd be crazy.
I love Episode Duske and I love Ground Zeroes. I'd be cool with it, but I know a lot of people would not be cool with that. A lot of people just want the whole game.
But if it's the first time you've ever heard of it that day,
Yeah.
you
But I
got
think
it.
what's interesting and unique about PT is it was very clear that PT was not at all what Silent Hills was going to be. It was like it was related.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to have some of the same tone, but I don't think Silent Hills was going to be first person even.
I think it might have been. Do you remember that concept trailer from TGS where like they're in that
Yeah.
hallway? That was first person as well. I think it may have ended up first person. But I mean, we'll
Well, then
never know.
they were going to cast Norman Reedus. And like, what's the point of casting Norman Reedus in if you're never going to see him?
Good point. Fair enough.
Maybe cutscenes, I guess. Or
Yeah.
I see where you guys are coming from, but I really don't want that to happen. I don't want the taste.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm just saying
Right.
he might do that. That's a crazy stunt that he might pull.
Like with episode Duske or whatever, however you say it.
I say Duske.
Duske, I like that. Okay. It felt like that had something to prove, right? Like, it almost felt like an apology. Like, no, this is a video game that's going to exist eventually. Here is a demo to prove it. Ground Zeroes was a business decision, for sure. I'm always bummed out when you have an exciting new studio, you have a power group, right? And they're like, here's our early access game, or please kick in more money. I understand the reality of the situation. I don't hold anything against those decisions, but I feel like it automatically makes you feel lesser. You're saying, not that you are lesser, but you're compromising things in the sense that you need help or you need to do things a little bit differently. Like if Kojima Productions 3 years from now came out with a fully complete game that had no problems, that just absolutely captivated you, I think that would be a lot more powerful than digesting it piecemeal or seeing the process the whole way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess we'll just have to wonder how much money Sony is giving them.
Yeah.
I hope it's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be cool to see what he wants. To like get an experience that is something he really wanted.
Right.
To not think like that's going to be better than anything he has ever made before. Like I don't think that's the point. I think it's just seeing like what's in Kojima's heart right now. Like what does he want to do? Does he want to do horror? Did he just want to work with Del Toro? Like how did that? Is that his really genre of choice right now?
Do you think Kojima needs a lot of money to express what's in his heart?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
absolutely no matter what?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Yep.
just it's the type of guy he is.
Yeah.
I think he does. Oh gosh, you see the budget when you're playing Final Fantasy or Metal Gear Solid 5. You see the budget like that. There's just so many things that are there that aren't in other games that just like add up. I feel like.
But what's funny to me about Kojima is not that he needs a lot of money necessarily, like all of this money up front. The way that I feel like he works is he just wants something, and then he's like, how much does this cost? Gets that, dumps it all in, keeps going, finds some other thing that he gets really obsessed about. How much does this cost?
Yeah.
It's a bunch of money bullets.
Or I think he even like he looks at something and like, oh, there's no way they're going to approve that. I'm just going to do it anyway. And
Right.
then like they'll, I could see again. I'm not based on anything I've heard. I could just like imagine him doing this. And then like 4 or 5 months go by and they're developing this thing, and then like the higher ups find out about it. Like, wait, we don't have the money to pay for that. And it's like, oh well, we already like made it. We're almost done building it. And they're just like, okay, So I wonder if it was just 20 of those in a row. And
Right.
Konami
Let's
was
also
like, all right,
not
we're done.
forget that PT was supposedly dumbed down to look like an indie game.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's so funny.
Remember? We try to make this look bad. It doesn't.
So I mean, you all made me just think of something. All right, so Sony now is kind of publishing whatever this first game is console exclusive. That's so strange to me. We have this occurring a lot, especially what we saw at PSX. Does Sony not think of PC as a competitor? It's so strange to me that they're like willing to let games go to PC. Do you think like that they don't see the PC? Like, is it really just about demolishing the Xbox One? When it says console exclusive, it just means this won't be on Xbox One to me.
I actually think the reasoning is a lot more nuanced than that. Like, the PS4 has been so calculated in a way that I really approve of, but doesn't actually make any sense to me. Like Sony saying we've got Street Fighter V, we've got Last Guardian, we've got Miyazaki making an exclusive Souls type game. They are so in tune with what the most dedicated people want, and those dedicated people have very specific feelings on the PC as well. That it's almost like saying it's coming out on the PC too is like this weird gesture of good faith amongst that audience, I feel like.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
It kind of does.
Yeah, you said two words earlier, Ben, that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Pride and stubbornness, and I think there are specifically some Japanese companies I could say that about, where it's just kind of like, wait, what are you guys doing? Like you're doing one thing and you're communicating something else, and just this like wall of secrecy that a lot of people have. Kotaku loves this concept of just like we should know everything. We should know, like you have to reveal all the information and stuff, and like whether I want that or not, whether I dislike certain spoilers and can maybe stomach certain others. I think it is generally a trend. I look at not only the games industry, but our society in 40, 50 years. I think privacy is gone. Like, I think that is like going to be the next big jump in our society where like we don't expect that anymore. And I wonder if the reason why this is so polarizing that's happened with Konami is I wonder if this is one of like the last great breaths of a company trying to do this, like really trying to be like, this is just our thing. We're doing the Kojima. Nobody look at us. And it's like the entire world is looking at you. What are you talking about? And so I think they're looking at some of the things Kojima's doing. Like, this makes no sense to me because it's not a smart business decision. And Kojima's like, this game's going to rule, period. You don't have to worry about it. Like, I've been doing this long enough. I know this is going to work. I know Act 3 of MGS5 is going to be fantastic. And Konami's like, it doesn't make sense on paper. And Sony's like, we don't care. We just walked on a stage and announced FF7. Doesn't matter how much money that game makes. Doesn't matter. The entire room just fell in love with us, and that's why we did it. And they're really seeing the value in that. And boy, they're just one thing after another with Sony. It's
the big stack. That's the analogy I thought of this week. They're at the poker table. They have the big stack.
Yeah.
And, they're using that money. They're throwing it around.
So yeah, I think they don't want to make enemies with the PC audience. They don't want to be like, we don't want to be your adversary. Like, we just want to. Yeah. We are doing calculated strikes to take down Microsoft. And we, if we can like make them angry, make the fans happy, keep PC happy. It's fascinating. They're absolutely killing it over there.
3 years from now, we might be in a situation where we're mad it's not on an NX, where it's just like, oh, that old PS4, that thing sucks. I wish it was on the NX.
Kyle, we're gonna,
we'll see.
But then that's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you're right,
Like
yes.
if the NX is really that incredible,
it's going to be.
then we just win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if I'm getting to a point where I'm saying like, oh man, this isn't on the NX. I wish this was on this Nintendo system, this third-party game. Like, I want to live in that world. Like, sign me up.
It's coming, buddy. All right, let's talk about MPDs. We almost never talk about MPDs on the show. Those are basically the U.S.
Yeah, because MPDs suck now.
Yeah, they do. They're almost irrelevant because they don't include digital sales. And also, like, speaking for the show,
They don't even include numbers really anymore, right?
no,
Yeah.
they do not. They don't even include
they're
numbers.
just emojis now.
Yeah.
It's just ranks.
You're right. It's gonna be faces next. It's gonna be like Call of Duty Black Ops 4, some frown face. But there's something kind of relevant that I want to talk about this week. Well, two things. Number one, PlayStation 4 won November of this year in the U.S. MPD only tracks U.S. and Canada, I think, as well. That is a big deal because Xbox won last November. Of last year, and they made a big push, and they made a big push again this year. Halo came out, and PS4 still won because I think because they had price parity. They both cost $300 at the time. Was anyone here surprised? I think I remember asking everybody who was going to win the fall, and everyone said PS4, and so I took Xbox, and then I lost that bet. So I guess no one here is surprised. That all just played out like how you expected it to, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, was the Darth Vader bundle already available at that point?
Yes, so that
So
is.
there you go. You just put Star Wars on anything right now.
I don't think it's that simple.
I went to Office Depot and they had a note. Okay, I got the notebook that I kind of always get. It's $6. There's one with Star Wars on the front. It's $40. It's the same notebook. I mean, come on.
That's terrific. Where was this? Where was this? At
Office
Staples?
Depot.
Oh, Office Depot. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get
Right-
that. Get
right
that
next
Star Wars
door.
Get that $40 notebook. Yeah, I mean, it was a huge month for PS4. You know, Pachter was quoted recently saying the Xbox One will never catch up, and yeah, it probably.
Yeah,
never
that conversation's kind of over. I'm bummed
Yeah.
because it's fun to have a war, but we just need to move on to other things, I guess. Just kind of where we are.
Every weapon that Xbox had this fall was poisoned. Like Halo had all of the wind sucked out of its sails. I mean, after the absolute catastrophe that was Master Chief Collection, that just the general sentiment, like it was ruined. Like I think it was doomed to like be a moderate success at best. And then all of the negative press for Rise of the Tomb Raider and how that announcement was fumbled and how awkward it was and the resentment there. Like what nothing but good feelings thing did Microsoft have going into this, you know?
Yeah, and actually, I do want to talk about Rise of the Tomb Raider because it did not get in the top 10. Apparently didn't get in the top 20. It sold very poorly, not only in the US, but around the world. And so I do want to talk about that game because part of me thinks it might be the Xbox One exclusivity, but I mean, I don't want to blame it completely on that. So I want to ask the panel, is that it? Is that why the game sold so poorly? Is because it was announced as Xbox One exclusive and people just started hating it?
Well, I mean, not just that they started hating it, but I mean, Microsoft is the publisher. Completely. Like, they were responsible for marketing that thing. And there wasn't, I mean, as you said, there wasn't a lot to distinguish, like, what makes Rise of the Tomb Raider exciting? You know, like, why should we care about it? You know, is it just going to be, you know, more levels of the last game? And that really wasn't answered or hyped that much. I mean, I did see some TV spots, but nothing that like really like blew my mind.
Yeah.
And they also put the launch date on the same day as Fallout 4.
That's worth
and
mentioning.
Stuck to it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just became an afterthought to most people.
Yeah, I think you're right, Blood. Even if it was on PS4, that launch date was a monster. Like, why do that? Even if it was on PS4, it probably still would have hurt launching against Fallout 4.
I'm not saying this is true specifically in the case of Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I actually absolutely believe the sentiment that I don't think being a good game in a lot of instances is good enough anymore for AAA games. Like, just coming out and reviewing well is only gets you so far if your initial announcement is botched. Like, the way media works now, where there's so much information and stuff is constantly bombarding you, like I honestly feel like you have to hit every single step of the way. And if you don't, people are just going to move on. Like, yeah, I think in some ways that happened with Rise of the Tomb Raider. There was that sourness with the Xbox stuff, and that never left.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the way it was announced, Rise of the Tomb Raider was announced simply at the Xbox press conference, but not as an Xbox exclusive. It wasn't until a few months later at Gamescom they said, also, by the way, this was launching exclusively in the holiday season for Xbox.
And I see comments a lot that are saying, wow, Rise of the Tomb Raider is actually surprisingly great.
Yeah.
You know, like in spite of itself, it's really good. And I believe it's a really good game, but there's this connotation going in that something's wrong with it. You know?
Yeah, you're right, because as they say, actually.
Yeah, like, holy cow, I'm so glad I picked this up. You know, like it was a fortunate accident or something.
Which sucks because Tomb Raider did well. It was a reboot that actually did well, and that's a rare thing. And they made that first game, you know, not the first game, but that first of the reboots, they made it work. Square Enix said we're disappointed with the sales at first, but then it had long legs and it kept going. Can this game succeed? Rise of the Tomb Raider specifically, coming out in PC in the new year and PS4 12 months after the Xbox release.
Yeah, I mean, Square Enix is already starting to take the reins on marketing for the PC versions. Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing
Have
stuff
you seen
for
that? Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think that, yeah, because they're talking about, like, their lineup for next year, and, like, Rise of the Tomb Raider is one of the things they're talking about in their lineup for next year, so
How do you
really
turn
fun.
it? How do you possibly turn it around? How do you make this game into a winner? How do you take off the stink that Ben is smelling?
I think especially with the PC version, they'll probably, you know, go back to some of those extra features, you know, like, because I think there are times to me where in that game I do see like little compromises because it's also on 360.
Sure. Like what?
just in terms of like geometry and things like that, that are like, these rocks feel too chunky or like just dumb kind of little things like that. To whereas like if they improve those kinds of things in the PC version and they do side by side comparisons and lighting effects and hair effects and all that kind of thing, there are chances that they're going to get people more excited. And then if they can, and if they can do anything else that's like actually fundamentally new in the game as well.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they have that much time, but we'll see.
Maybe if they like add a classic Tomb Raider skin or something, you know what I mean? Or throw in Baba Yaga for free.
Right.
Give them that Baba Yaga.
That actually does look pretty cool, that DLC.
Yeah, there was a trailer for that recently, wasn't it? Was that at Game Awards?
Yeah.
I think it was like the pre-show of the Game Awards. They did Baba Yaga. The old witch? What does Baba Yaga mean?
Yeah, it's some kind of weird like witchy.
It means the
witchy
boogie.
voodoo thing.
In John Wick, it means the boogeyman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like some Russian witch, some folklore. So I remember there's a good Hellboy story about the Baba Yaga. You may want to look into.
It's in Siberia, so that would make sense if it was a Russian thing.
Nice. Okay. Ben, you had a moment though while we were trying to think of what Baba Yaga meant.
Oh, why not just generate as much goodwill as possible? Like throw in a copy of the first Tomb Raider, or
Ooh, there you go.
like, or for $5 extra, whatever, you get every Tomb Raider game on Steam. Like that goes a really long way with people, and I don't think the same rules apply to PC as they do on consoles. In a lot of ways, I definitely feel like consoles are sort of an in-the-moment thing. Like, if you don't get a lot of excitement around your month of launch, it's not just going to suddenly pick up and do extremely well. Whereas PC, I think, a lot of word of mouth and a lot of positive discussion amongst the community can make that thing have legs that it wouldn't otherwise on console.
Yeah, absolutely. Make the butler a playable character.
Rise also had a terrible trailer campaign. There wasn't one good trailer for that game ever. Like, they were just all terrible.
The reveal trailer was good.
And you think about seeing the first Tomb Raider, like remember that sequence where she's like in the plane and she's like on the glass and the glass is cracking and then she like falls through it and pulls her chute and it goes like flying through the trees.
Yeah,
and
dude,
then like
you're
crashes
right,
out of that and lands in the water. So like right away, Tomb Raider was like, oh, we're not focusing on like, yeah, it had an interesting story, but like we're not focusing like too much on her character. Really, just like, wow, look at the spectacle of this game and look at like that's like kind of open world and just like how this game is going to be built. And like there was like one where they're like showing Amelia Earhart and all these like confident women explorers, and you're like, okay, that's great, but like I've known Lara for like 20 years. Don't talk to me about Lara. Like tell me what she's doing. Like tell me where she's going. And that was one of your critiques of the game. You're like, the story's not that great.
Right.
So I wonder if they were like, we can't sell it that way, so let's just focus on like what a great adventurer she is. And it's like, that's not exciting. Like that's not thrilling me.
Man, even that E3 demo was just like climbing ice.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and nothing happened.
That's the very first thing that happens in the game.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting too is I had to put my review up later because they didn't want to show anything. Like they were very protective about what they wanted to show, and so they're not going to have to do that now because the game's already been out.
And so there are better things to show later on in the game, is what you're promising.
Yeah. I mean, like you only see that first snowy area that's kind of drab looking in a way. Even though it's new, compared to the last game, you don't see the more lush green area. You don't see the kind of crazier stuff that's towards the end. So there's definitely a lot that they can work with.
I want to move to our next story, which is a nice little end, or maybe a cliffhanger to our saga with microtransactions. This week, Destiny added some microtransactions to the store, in which you can level up a character to a certain level, but also gives you a boost for the subclass. That costs $30. So I feel like finally, to all the people who thought we were jumping the gun with our criticism, you can cool off. We were right. It happens. It's here. It's like, and $30 is not a microtransaction. That is not micro. That is macro. That is a lot of money to spend to level up your character to a certain thing and also have a boost on how fast your subclass levels up. Oh my gosh. So I don't know. I want to wrap up our conversation about microtransactions for the year because I feel like we've said this word a lot. I feel like we're going to need a new word. I'm sick of microtransactions, and I just want to see if you think that we're going to see a lot more of this in 2016.
Well, WoW has a level boost thing, right?
This is WoW. This
Yeah.
is like when I was playing. No, I mean, it is a little different.
No,
but
but
when I was playing World of
yeah.
Warcraft, when I'd get together with friends and I would get together with like my guild, other people that play World of Warcraft, and like a new expansion would come out, and they're just like, I love Blizzard. I love everything they're doing. This is the greatest game ever. I was always like one of the only people in the room that's like, yeah, but they completely changed the way Paladin plays. So I'm not going to play this class anymore because I got really good at it and it was really fun. And then now what? Now I have to buff this? No, why are you? And like just when you get used to something in WoW, they're like, nope, we're changing it. And it was really frustrating to me, especially because like I'm the dork that loves context in this world, and it's just like if you change something like that doesn't make sense. What with pandas now? Like what? Like goblins are on the horde? Like okay, like just these things that like wouldn't make sense to me as a fan or to world build, and me being blind and insensitive to the fact that like they are just knee-jerking the whole way based on what their audience is doing, and they're looking at like what they want. Let's do it. We'll give them that, whether it makes sense, for like what you thought we were going to be doing with the development of this game, or whether it makes sense in the world. And so Bungie's just like, what are people complaining about? Oh, they aren't being able to level up along with their friends. Let's hopefully get 2 wins at the same time. We'll make them happy. We'll make a bunch of money.
It is a bunch of money too.
So yeah, so it's funny to see people in Destiny complaining about stuff I complained about in Warcraft like 10 years ago. But
So you don't feel for him, is what you're saying? You're like, yeah, welcome to my world.
I mean, that's a little insensitive. Like I always feel for people that think they're getting like screwed over. But the one thing that I just kind of sit on the back seat with microtransactions, I don't really get like fumed about it is an option. Like if there was something in the game that you couldn't get that way before that is now restricted behind a paywall, that sucks. But if you can just continue on with your Destiny experience and, this isn't going to affect you at all, beyond just pride, that guy might have paid, it's like, I remember the first mount that cost $10 in Warcraft, and a friend in my guild was like, I literally see you walking around on a $20 bill every single time you're on that horse. I'm like, well, it's a cool horse. And I wanted to get the 100 mount dragon, so I was like, what's one more mount?
Oh my god.
But
no, you spent $20 on it.
Oh,
$19.99 on a
Huber was
horse.
saying, what is the accuracy of this? Huber was saying something about there being, in the sparrow racing, you have to buy a book to see your records.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there are some things in the Sparrow Racing thing, which is a free update that was added if you have the Taken King.
Yeah.
However, there are some items you can only win if you spend silver in the game, and the only way to get silver is to spend real life dollars. So that's a case of a thing in the game in Destiny that you can only get if you spend money. You can't earn silver. How crazy is that?
You want to know the most depressing things about microtransactions in 2015? And not that this wasn't true in other years, because it was, but it felt especially true in 2015. Like, for a long period of time, especially at the start of when microtransactions really started taking off, I felt like we could just dismiss a lot of those games whole cloth. Like, it's a bad game, it's got shitty microtransactions, whatever, we don't need to waste our breath. But in 2015, there were games that were really, really good that just like had this thing in the way. Mm-hmm. And as somebody that reviews a lot of games, I would get so mad because it's like, I just want to talk about the positive and negative elements of this game, but instead I have to spend 2 paragraphs explaining this bullshit that is overly cumbersome. It's just like getting in the way. It's like you have this really sharply dressed person and then they put on like a fucking ugly hat, and it's just...
That's exactly what happened to me with Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting through this. The script's nice and tight. Oh, I got to talk about this other mode that nobody's going to care about, that's not any good, and then it has this complicated freaking microtransactions.
Oh, the card packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
And I get so mad, like incensed that when people say, oh, but you can earn it all in game. Like that is something that washes it away, and it's like, yes, but now it's just this other hassle that I have to go through. Like, I don't feel vindicated. I feel aggravated. Like, it's
having your cake and eating it too. It's them. They want to have their fan base be happy, They want to hopefully have more people be happy that they now have the opportunity to level up super fast, or have their friends join the game and play with them because they can level up super fast, as opposed to the people that really don't like it.
I think it cheapens your game, but we're getting worked up. We need a new conversation. Let's turn to the audience for, well, you're the one who started this conversation!
That's a big paragraph right there.
This comes from Boomer. Yeah, this is a big one. Let me blaze through this. PS2 games on PS4. Isn't the execution and reception a little bit silly? I mean, it's pretty cool that they're expanding their library with PS2 games, but $15 a piece with barely any improvements, and people celebrate this as they do? It really struck me. It really struck me when Huber said the other day that how he looks forward to playing Vice City again in 1080p. But Vice City has been playable in 1080p for years, and literally everyone's PC can run it. I'm not going to talk about how a majority of PS2 library can be emulated in 4 times the resolution in 60 frames per second anti-aliased, but if Sony handling this whole thing the right way, given how many other options there are, if someone says that putting a PS2 emulator on PS4 and allowing everyone to use their old PS2 discs is too hard, I just feel like they're not trying hard enough. It just feels to me like a scam that people are getting tricked into liking. I mean, all of it is just there already. How do you respond, panel?
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say that getting hyped over it is probably not worth it. But it is to me almost exactly like Virtual Console, and I don't think that $15 is too much, really. I mean, maybe a little bit too much, maybe 12. But I mean, there were
some of them are 10. They're 10 and 15.
Yeah. So I think that's probably fine. But yeah, it's not really 1080p. It's not going to look that much better. It's just going to be slightly cleaner because you're putting it out through HDMI, and it's not. Yeah. But from the technical side of things, yeah, I think it's very easy as a consumer to just say, well, why don't you do this? But remember, like, through the life of the PS3, like, one of the things they did was, like, as the years went by, to make the PS3 affordable to manufacture, you know, they pulled out all of the parts that let them run PS2 games. And just, yeah, so expecting a system to go 2 generations backwards compatible, it's kind of far-fetched. I don't know how technically feasible it is, but it's probably not something you can just do.
I think a lot of people are mad, though, that even they own PS2 classics on PS3, and then they have to spend money on them all over again.
That shouldn't happen. That is definitely a problem, because and again, going back to Virtual Console, like, if you have a Wii game on Virtual Console and you want it in your Wii U menu, even though you can access it, or, you know, you pay like another $1. You know, it's like, oh, you own
For
this
the
game?
upgrade.
Well, pay another $1 and
Yeah.
we'll put you on this menu and you'll have the save states and whatever.
Right. And that's what you do get. It's Boomer, I see you in the comments a lot. I know that you're here a lot, and so I don't want to be too critical, but I disagree with so many of the things that you've stated. It does take a lot of work to get those PS2 games running. And it also takes a lot of licensing. It's not just the thing that they snap their fingers and it's like, okay, here it is. This cost us $0. It's
But
not
I mean, he
free
is right
thing.
by saying they're not trying hard enough. Like,
Do you think so?
I mean, you just said, like, it is hard. They could do it. It's just they just don't want to.
I don't know.
It's like, it's not worth
I
it
don't
for
know
us.
that they could do it. I don't know that you could physically put a disc in there and it actually work.
This reminds me of ATM fees. So, like, you could, at any time, you could go to a Chase. You could find a Chase ATM and just, you find it and you don't have to pay those stupid ATM fees. But if you're at the airport and you're like, oh, it's a B of A. All right, fine, whatever, I don't care. You know, it's like that. Like, that's what they're counting on. Like, you're at home and just like, it's like Apple. You know, like when the iPod came out, people were like, what, MP3? What? I've had this for 2 years. What are you talking about? Like, this is not cool. And like, it looks better. It's by a company people are familiar with. You know, it's just packaged better. So people are just like, oh, okay, I'll do that. You know, these people like pulling their hair out. I was like, why don't you own Android? Why do you have this? That, you know, it's like, I like it. You know, I like that aesthetic. And people like the PlayStation 4. They're at home. They're willing to pay that $3 ATM fee because it's just like, Vice City's just right there, and I want to play it right now. So
Yeah,
I think
guess
that's the
it.
cash in.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
Don't you think $14.99 is ridiculous?
No.
Why?
No. I think that it's ridiculous to want less than that. I think right now I'm playing Rogue Galaxy, a full game. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
And $15 is 2 lunches. It's like 1.5 lunches. Like, no, $15 is not too much money for a video game. Like, oh, This is why I hate Steam sales. This is just like, I got The Witcher 3 for $2. It's like, it's not a $2 game. It's not that. Like, you're devaluing games when you make them less and less money. Like, $15 is great for PS2 games. PS2 games still have value.
I agree with you. I do, but I think the total devaluing of games is already happened. Like we can't ignore the reality. Like Steam exists, and that's what we're comparing it to. Like Xbox One backwards compatibility exists, and that's what we're comparing it to. Even though these games may be worth the $14.99, because we've seen other avenues where things can be a lot cheaper.
But things are usually a lot cheaper
comparison
on a sale. They're not that cheap a lot of the time, just outright.
But it is worth
I
mentioning.
bought Grand Theft Auto Vice City on PC for like actually $3.
Yeah. It's
know.
not a $3 game.
It's not. But I paid that price. I can't ignore that.
But that's
Exactly,
a sale
yeah.
price, though, right? We're not
that's it.
talking about the actual whatever it's listed at on Steam.
Right, but those sales are like, it's not like a once a year thing.
Right.
Those Steam, like I think this week, Grand Theft Auto 5, like those sales are constant.
But
They're
there's no
perpetual.
reason those sales can't happen on these PS2 games, so I don't see why that's the point of
It
comparison.
could happen eventually, yeah.
Absolutely.
But it is worth mentioning that with Xbox One backwards compatibility, you just put in 360 disc, you pay $0. It
Mm-hmm.
just works. That is incredible.
Right, but you can't do that with an Xbox disc, right?
Right, you can't do
That's
that.
what
with
we're talking about.
But
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
I do think that is an interesting point of comparison because I think the attachment for some of these PS2 games is so high that you don't even care. You know what I mean? Like you just like I want this. It like when they announced that new game, whatever you're looking forward to, like when they put Nocturne out on PS4 with trophies, it's going to be like they gave me a gift. Even though they didn't really, it's just the structure of it will make it feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And Boomer
I don't know.
thinks that's wrong. Boomer's probably right from like a pragmatic perspective.
I think it's really
Yeah.
I think it's a more complex situation than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah. It does cost money and time to do trophies too. I don't know if that's
I
worth
don't
it.
care about trophies.
Yeah, but I think it does increase how much they sell. I think when they put trophies
Yeah.
in a game, more people buy it.
There are definitely people that are very, very into it.
Yeah. Well, Boomer,
There are people that won't buy a Nintendo system just because they don't get any kind of trophies.
NX will have. I would make that bet. NX will have trophies. NX will have achievements or trophies or something like that. I bet. Oh, and I bet it'll be cross. Like, oh my gosh, because they have a handheld as well. Like you have one account that's got all the trophies. Oh boy, that's gonna be exciting. Why do I keep going back to NX? I'm just too excited about the
You're
future.
hyped.
Boomer, I'm sorry I read your thing so sarcastically and mean. Obviously, you didn't mean it that mean, but thanks for starting that conversation. It is now time for bets. We have no new bet for the new year. We'll deal with that because we have to wrap up this season right now. Here's what the last week's bet was. Devil's Third came out last Friday, on December 11th. It's rated M for blood and gore and language. Strong language. How much time will there be from the beginning of the game to the first swear word? No research was allowed, and you could not look at YouTube. Here's how the bets went down. Bloodworth bet 4 seconds. Jones bet 9 minutes. I bet 27 seconds. And Brad in the super seat bet 30. The actual time to the first swear word of the game, which was the S word, was 57 seconds, giving the super seat the win. Now, this is interesting. This puts us at our current score, super seat 16, Bloodworth 16, Jones 8, Bossman 11. We have a tie for first. This is unprecedented in our second year. After every single episode throughout the entire year, we come out at the end with Super Seat and Bloodworth tied 16-16.
I should have kept my lightning bolt.
You could have decided it right here.
Just
Yeah.
been like, all right, super seat. Bye, everybody.
However, we need a tiebreaker, and there can be only one tiebreaker. It's called Bowser's Big Blast. Ben and Blood, please take your seats while I explain to the audience what Bowser's Big Blast is.
I just want to say,
Yeah.
I did not want this responsibility. It was thrust upon me.
That's how heroes work, though,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Heroes never ask for that responsibility. It is always thrust upon them. So, Brandon, let me explain what's about to happen here. And for listeners, I'm going to try to communicate as much as possible. We are about to play Bowser's Big Blast. This is a game in Mario Party 2. Huge shout out to Andrew Nur for unlocking this for us. This, Brennan, Huber and I 1 year ago spent hours and hours and hours trying to unlock this one mini game. It's super hard to do. You have to do crazy, crazy stuff in Mario Party 2 on solo mode. It's nearly impossible. Andrew Nur came in clutch. We did a call out to the audience. He came in and he sent us the save file. We couldn't do this without you, Andrew Nur, and I really, really appreciate it.
Nice.
Could you guys tilt it over so me and Brandon can watch? Oh, actually, we can watch from up here.
There we go.
Okay, so basically what is about to happen here is we have 4 characters, one controlled by Bloodworth, one controlled by Ben. Ben is Luigi. Bloodworth is Yoshi. The CPU is the 2 other players. If the CPU wins, we're gonna reset. Okay, Bowser's Big Blast works very simply. It is completely random. You choose a plunger. If the plunger blows up, you lose and you are out. There are 5 plungers. Good luck, gentlemen. The 2 gentlemen shake hands.
What are the stakes? What do they get if they win? The whole thing?
They win the whole shebang. All the werehogs.
Pride and stubbornness?
Okay, and so the order is random. Yoshi's going first, that's Bloodworth. That's a great spot. He has only a 20% chance of hitting the bomb right now. Bloodworth, pick a color. Switch controllers! Oh god!
Oh gosh, Ben hit me. I guess Ben's good now.
I mean,
He
And it
blew
blew
up.
up.
No. We need a reset. We need a reset. So to explain what happened, the gentleman picked up the wrong controllers.
yeah, we need a reset.
Ben sabotaged Blood by killing
I
Yoshi.
kind of like that, though. That was great.
Bloodworth got in the catch first and picked up the black controller. I picked up the remaining controller, which was the white one. There was no sabotage.
Okay, all right.
I don't think we can.
Bloodworth sabotaged himself. Okay, so we can't restart it, huh? We gotta like play through the whole thing again.
It's practice. It's practice round.
All right, so they're doing a practice round. Should I explain the game better, Brandon? Did you understand watching that? Like, what was happening there?
If you blow up, it's over.
Okay.
But you can blow up multiple times. It's not just one.
No, like so Bloodworth was out. You can only blow up once.
Oh,
And then
okay.
everyone else. It's like musical chairs,
okay,
basically.
right.
It's a game of explosive
It continues,
musical
but only when you
chairs.
have players left.
Yeah.
Last person standing wins. Okay.
Ben will get to do the sign off and everything, but I feel like there should be a special prize for the person who wins.
You're bringing this up now.
GT time, yeah. What would you want as winner of GT time?
I've never thought about that. I have no idea.
So maybe.
Because it's got to be like a thing that they can do. You can't just like procure an object.
All right,
You're just like,
so
here.
maybe we give Ben everything
a
but
Blu-ray player.
final word. We give Ben everything but final word.
Okay.
And so basically, the winner gets the final word of the year.
Sure.
Because again, we're not coming back until January.
But we can
4th.
also think of something they can do when we come back.
Yeah.
There can be something that, like they kick off the new episode.
I don't know. I think that's a high honor to have the final word of the year. You
I like
get to
it.
say the last thing.
Oh, Ben likes it.
The
Okay.
last opinion of anything of the year for GT time of 2015.
So like as editor in chief, I can just veto
This is
that
just-
at any
this is
point.
just
and,
like a
put my own
point-blank
final word
question to
in.
me,
So
and
like
I'm
maybe
terrible
for,
at
maybe just for
point-blank
me,
questions.
it's not.
Not even that.
Doesn't have that much value.
You could say that on some other show, but of GT time, absolutely not. All right, you guys good to go yet?
Good to go.
Okay, we're back in.
It's official. It's happening this time.
Okay, it's happening. The
So
Bowser
it's
bomb.
like, so it's like a screw bomb.
Yeah,
it's like a
it's a
key
screw
bomb.
bomb.
This
Yeah,
is the most
absolutely.
anxious.
Is that the
I've
SquareTech
been this
logo on the
entire
floor,
year.
right?
It just isn't meant to be, but it certainly
Oh,
does look like
I'm
it.
last on this lineup.
Okay,
now.
so Donkey Kong is CPU. He's safe. Okay, next up is Wario. He's another CPU. He chooses yellow. He's safe. There is now a 30% chance of getting the bomb. Ben is up. He picks pink.
Oh.
3, 2, 1. Ben is out.
Immediately.
No, the CPU could still win. Blood still needs to beat the CPU. He's Yoshi. He picks green.
Oh, we're gonna be here for a while.
He's safe. The Donkey Kong CPU is up next. He just went straight for white. He's
Whoa.
safe. There's now a 50% chance of getting the bomb. Wario's up. He picks yellow, the color of his shirt. 3, 2, 1. Wario's out. Bloodworth can still win this. There's a 50% chance that Bloodworth wins Bowser's Big Bash.
30% chance now. Oh.
There's a 50% chance now for Donkey Kong.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Okay,
wait,
so
but
it resets.
starts- oh, okay.
Bloodworth now has a 30% chance of picking the bomb. He's safe. Donkey Kong up again with a 50%
Wow.
chance. Here he
Wow,
goes.
Blood. Killer.
Green plunger.
Oh my.
He's still alive. He resets again. Okay, Bloodworth picks the plunger again. He picks Pink.
Oh,
3, 2, 1.
gotta go again.
Oh!
Reset.
Oh!
The bracket resets.
Got another chance, Ben.
Ben has another
Got another
chance. Ben is in the game. Again, Bloodworth picked 1 of 3, had a 30% chance of picking the bomb. That was the 3rd time he did that, though.
This
Donkey
game
Kong
is
got
incredible.
Very lucky.
The emotional roller coaster going on right now.
This is really intense. Okay, so the order is Donkey Kong, Ben, Bloodworth, Wario. Donkey Kong just straight for white.
Oh,
He's
Donkey
out.
Kong's out. Donkey Kong's not happy about
Donkey
that.
Kong is out immediately this time. He picked white. Okay, Bloodworth is up. He's got a 25%
that's Ben.
chance. Oh, that's Ben. 25% chance to pick the bomb.
Same one!
Ben is out.
Same, it was the same color twice in a row!
That's gambler's fallacy,
Okay,
Ben. You had the same percentage chance. Okay, so now Blood is up against Wario. Wario now has a 50% chance
no.
of giving Bloodworth the
no.
win.
Damn you, Bloodworth. Yep, I knew it.
Oh.
I knew it.
And he is out. Wario blows up. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Bloodworth is the champion of GT time. Why don't you two gentlemen
felt
come
it in
back
my
up
gut.
here?
I said it before the
Back
show.
up.
You know, yeah, I gotta bring that up.
You gotta come back
What's
up.
that?
Ben is really torn up about this loss. Bowser's Big Blast will do that to you.
Bowser will do that to you.
All right,
I have to bring that up.
bring what up?
So before the show, we were milling about, like, Brandon just right to my face says, Bloodworth's gonna win immediately. And I'm like, okay, this is my boss telling me that he doesn't even believe, like, there's not even a shred of faith. And
Look
I'm
at him
like,
smiling. Look at that.
this,
I knew
This
it.
is a funny
this
story.
game, this
I
game,
literally had a premonition, had a flash, like until dawn. It was just like smug Bloodworth, like
this game is 100% chance. I was just as likely to pick the right thing.
out.
My self-worth gone, devastated.
Yep.
Oh, that's Bowser's Big Blast. That was exciting. All right, so Ben, as the
No
winner.
remorse.
Oh, from Brandon? No,
No
he knew.
remorse.
He knew it was going to happen.
It's just too much anger. There is the remorse is in there, but it's completely being drowned out by anger right now.
But anger over what?
Anger that this man finished out the season with twice the score I did, and then wins it.
And then wins the whole shebang.
Doesn't even give Lady Luck doesn't even give you a chance, Ben.
Lady Luck was insulting me, like spitting on
Yeah.
my face right there.
That was insulting. There was a 20% chance that you hit the bomb, and you did.
every time.
Yeah.
Every time I hit something, it was the bomb.
Yeah. Oh my God. Ben, you are the winner of this week, though.
Yeah.
So you do win the right and responsibility to tell everyone what your Twitter name is.
Okay.
You can select any video you like to promote on GameTrailers.com. And after Bloodworth gets the final word of the season, you can sign us off with your trademark sign off.
Okay.
Okay.
My Twitter handle at benmore035. You can openly mock me there if you wish. And the video I'd like to promote is, I don't think it's on YouTube yet. We should try to get it on YouTube, but it's on the Twitch archive. Our Super Mario RPG stream last night. I really love our Final Fantasy VII streams. I think if it goes as well as it did last night, I'm going to like our Super Mario RPG streams even more.
Wow.
It was so jolly and chill, and we just had good conversations, and there was great interaction with chat. If you just want some good vibes, I think go watch that video.
And also tune in.
And tune in. We can't commit to every week or anything like that. It'll be a sporadic schedule, but look for our Twitch schedule every week, and if Super Mario RPG is on there, come join us.
Twitch.tv/GameTrailers.
We're playing through the whole thing.
Yeah.
First time I'm playing it, so
Cool.
yeah.
Bloodworth. How do you want to sign up? What do you want to say to everyone? What do you want to How do you want to encapsulate 2015? What is the final word of 2015?
And I don't think it's anything that grandiose, but I called it. This week, I was proven right. Bayonetta is in Smash Brothers. And I called it the second I saw Zero Suit Samus and I saw those heels, and I'm like, those look like Bayonetta's heels. They're probably going to have Bayonetta as an alt of Zero Suit Samus. And everyone's like, no, that'll never happen. They'll never put Bayonetta in Smash Brothers.
Bloodworth, the smugness is.
No. That's the final word, Ben. That's his final. You can't say a thing.
And there it is. The last character, Bayonetta.
And Ben, now you can sign us off.
I hope everyone enjoys the holidays. And as always, pay to win.
I love.